who will do or who will handle the regulations. Dave, can you respond to that for us?
Yeah, no problem. So, that is something that we struggled with quite a bit last year, and we've still been struggling with a little bit this year. But the goal is that we actually create a new regulatory body that will be in control of cannabis. Now, how in which we do that, we actually create a 7-seat commission. 3 of those seats are populated by people from the government, one from the Department of Food and Agriculture, one from the Department of Public Health, and one from Alcohol Beverage Control. The other 4 seats are a mix of industry people, including doctors, attorneys, operators, and patients. So it's a fairly diverse commission, and the goal is that if we were to put this in, say, just the hands of ABC or just the hands of really any one agency, we'd be worried that that agency may not properly regulate things, and it's better to kind of treat this more like how things would be treated in a traditional sense and say, well, the Department of Agriculture, they should be the ones handling growing, and maybe the environmental protection is the one that actually is going out on site to deal with nurseries. But what we do is we create a commission that has the ability to regulate everything and assign those tasks to different entities that make sense. So they can either regulate the activities directly themselves, or they can assign those activities to an agency that makes sense. But one of the things that really takes up the bulk of our document is because we give this commission so much power, we then want to make sure there's plenty of checks and balances. So this commission is held by a lot of standards to ensure that if there's corruption, that they can lose their job. There's even a $10,000 fine if they disclose records that they shouldn't be disclosing. So we do a pretty good job of trying to make as good of a oversight committee as possible. And a little note with that is that this committee was actually originally structured after the Fair Political Practices Commission, which is a well-established commission that manages fair political practices in California. So it's been done before. We're not reinventing the wheel. The thing that we're still struggling with is who is to confirm this commission. In the version that we filed, we had it in that a public review board made up of activists was who got to confirm these 7 seats. Unfortunately, we got a lot of feedback, a lot of negative feedback, that meant that we were basically regulating ourselves. And, the financial industry does it all the time, but they've also kind of made a pretty bad name for it. So in this version, we did switch it back to they're appointed by the governor and then confirmed by the Senate. But whether or not these 7 commissioners will be elected positions, or maybe one of them will be elected position, those are things that we're definitely going to have to address before we file the final version of MCLR later this year.